Hi, I'm Maddie. I'm Vintage Spice here on YouTube, and today I'm going to be filming a What Sold video for October 31st through November 3rd, so this week. And my camera is being super blurry right now. I don't really know why, but we're just gonna go with it, I guess. And I want to thank you guys all for being here. If you could leave a like, a comment, and subscribe if you're not already, that would mean so much to me. It's like 9:45 in the morning, and I've been listening for the past 3 hours, so I was like, "I'll get some makeup on and film a video and just take a little break." So that's why I'm here right now. And I wanted to share an amazing Facebook Marketplace pickup I did, um, a few days ago. And it wasn't amazing because of the things that I picked up, although the inventory I got was really good, but it was because of the guy that I met. And when I went to pick up this lot of ephemera, I noticed the guy had a really amazing vintage toy collection. And so we started talking about Mark's toys, and it turns out that he is sort of a Mark's enthusiast like me, and he is of the age where he played with Mark's toys in the 1960s. And we just started talking about playsets, and it was so much fun. I've never really had a conversation about Mark's playsets with anyone before because none of my friends are really into that. Like, they'll listen to what I have to say to be polite, but I haven't had sort of a back and forth about Mark's playsets ever, and I just had so much fun. And after my car was all loaded up and I was driving home, I was, like, kind of sad to leave this, like, random man that I had just met, but he was really nice, and I'm really glad I met him, and we exchanged phone numbers, and he garage sales a lot, so he said if he ever found, any Mark's playsets, he would let me know. So that was just a really, really nice experience. And I don't really sell on Facebook Marketplace anymore because sales are just don't happen on there, but I buy a lot on there. So it's definitely a good place to source if you're looking for place to source from your house. But yeah, let's just get started with what sold this week. Okay, the first thing I wanted to share is this artisan miniature. It is this really teeny tiny telescope, and I sold this for $44, and the buyer lives in Spain, so they were all in for $82.88 for just this tiny little telescope. You can see the penny in the photo, obviously, so it's very small. And I paid about $10 for this, and I've sold another one very similar to this for a lot more, like closer to $75. And that was because that one was collapsible and you could actually see through it like a real telescope. So that's why I priced this one a little bit lower. And I was willing to take a lower offer on this. Next is the vintage perfume. It is new in the package because I think the new eBay rules are that you can't sell used perfume even as collectibles. So I listed this. I got it for $1 at a church rummage sale, and it sold for the full sale price of $32.19. The buyer was all in for $44.10 because I had to ship this ground instead of first class, which would have been cheaper. Next is this Mark's playset piece. It is the metal hook and original rope that went with the helicopter for the Cape Kennedy playset, and I've parted out this helicopter twice now, and everything really sells really quickly for me. I took a best offer of $20 for this, and the buyer was all in for $26.10 for just this little hook and string. That's how big it is right there. And I had like $1 into this. Next is a piece of ephemera. It's this Boy Scouts pledge card, and I was able to date this after doing some research from about 1940s through 1960s. And I have 3 of these, and I've already sold 2 of them. And this one sold for the full sale price of $27.29. Buyer was all in for $34.96 for just this piece of paper. And I had pennies into this from a buyout. Next is this new in the package flat sheet for a king size bed. I paid $8 for this at Salvation Army, and I took a best offer of $40. The buyer was all in for $59.93 because this is pretty heavy. Next, I just decided to try my hand at this vintage bra. I saw it in a estate sale. There was a baggie of vintage bras, and I just picked them up because it was super cheap. And this is the first one I listed, and it sold pretty quickly. It sold for $20, best offer, and the buyer was all in for $27.98. Next is this pack of 2 Goody hair combs, and the reason I knew to pick these up was because of Bolo Buddy's video about vintage hair supplies, and she said that Goody brand was a Bolo, and she's definitely right. This sold for the full sale price of $39.12, and the buyer was all in for $48.01. And I thought these were pretty cool because they're from the 1980s, and I thought Goody started existing in the 90s for some reason. And this is the oldest Goody thing I've ever seen. Next is this T-Pain speaker. And I don't know if any millennials watch me, but if you guys remember, there was an iTouch app before the iPhone existed. It was called like the T-Pain app, and you could speak into it. You could speak into your iTouch, and then it would spit out the same words, but in a very auto-tuned voice, like T-Pain. And so when I saw this at a garage sale, it was just super nostalgic for me. And I think I paid too much for this. I paid $7 and it sold for $18.15. Buyer was all in for $20.99. But the reason I picked it up without really comping it was because I know the T-Pain microphone is definitely a big money Bolo. So I pulled up the comps on the next page. But this is the microphone that goes with that speaker, and I had them confused. I thought that the speaker was worth this much money, but it wasn't. But it still was really nostalgic because it reminded me of that old iTouch app from the mid 2000s. Next is this dandy puppy dog plush, and I got this from the bins, and it's very small, like 10 inches. So I probably had 25 cents into this. It sold for the full sale price of $19.10, and the buyer was all in for $26.85 for just this little plush. And I've sold the big version of this, and that sold for $35, I think. So that's why I knew to pick this up. Next is a Walgreens Triceratops plush, and I picked this up from the bins. It was about $1 there. And I took a best offer of $15. The buyer was all in for $26.90. And I learned that Walgreens plush sell pretty well from Rebel Reseller. I also learned from her that Walmart plush sells really well, and I've sold a lot of Walmart plush that are retired or vintage for pretty good money. So her advice has definitely helped me out. The last eBay sale I want to share is this miniature artisan doctor's coat, lab coat. And I took a best offer of $14. The buyer was all in for $21.30, and I had like $2 into this. Okay, next I'd like to share the Mercari sales I made this week. This is actually all 3 sales I made from Mercari. In my past what sold videos, I've really only had 1 sale to share from Mercari, but this time I have 3, so I wanted to share all of them. So the first item I sold on Mercari is this Mattel Snookums baby doll. And I bought this for $3 at Salvation Army. It sold for $32 plus shipping. And this is vintage from 1996. Next is this lot of Pocahontas necklaces that are vintage from the 90s. And I paid $10 for this, which was paying up for them definitely, but I priced them pretty high, and they actually sold for the full asking price of $30 plus shipping. And lastly, in Mercari is this lot of Fisher Price Little People. I have a baggie of them, and I just decided to pick out some similar ones and lot them up. So this is the first one that sold. Took a best offer of $10 plus shipping. And I got these from different garage sales, so I probably have like 50 cents into them together. Next is my only Depop sale from this past week, which is very strange. I've been doing really well on Depop, and then sales really slowed down. But I sold this sweater for the full asking price of $22. The buyer was all in for $31, and I probably paid around $4 for this. So that is all I have to share with you today. These were not all my sales from the past week, but I thought these were the most interesting. So if you had a favorite sale from this video, please let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really glad that you guys seem to be enjoying this content, and I'm having a lot of fun posting on YouTube. So thank you for being here.